So the last time you guys saw me on Maddie's Rap, I was in the studio with my man Brian Moore, host of the Be More Faithful radio show, who's also a Dallas Cowboys fan, and was telling him what the Giants were going to do to pull off the upset in Dallas in Week 1. And it looks like I have to eat crow. We'll be talking about that and some other things on the next edition of Maddie's Rap. Stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Maddie's Rap, the show where we rap about things that guys rap about when we're hanging out at the barbershop, sports bar, the gym, you name it. I'm your host, Matt D. Talford, and I got my special guest back in the studio, my main man, Brian Moore from the Be More Faithful radio show. Brian, what's going on today, man?
Thank you for having me, Matt. Today is a special day because it's another day that we're here and we're getting ready to put together Maddie's Rap.
That's right. That's right. Doing it another time. So we always give praise and honor to the Most High because we know we couldn't do it without him. But Brian, you're wearing a hat there that says, what it does. Tell us about that hat you got on today
All right,
before we get
folks,
started.
I am a graduate of James Madison University. That's where I graduated from college at back in 1982, so I'm kind of dating myself. I was a football player there as well, and I'm an alumni. I'm getting ready to go to the homecoming this year, so I got my hat ready. And my team, by the way, is a Division I AA, or they call it FCS school. We won this weekend, 44-6 over some school in Pennsylvania called St. Francis. You ever heard of St. Francis?
You know what? They're probably infamous right now after a beating like that. Well, listen, we got a lot to talk about today, folks, and we're going to hit you up with some of those topics. We'll be talking about Dallas and the Giants.
The Cowboys, how about them?
We'll be talking about some of the other games that we like to feature, some of the players that we like. We'll be talking about some of that, and we're going to talk about the U.S. Open final, the women's final and the men's final.
Oh yeah.
And but we're going to be talking about those things when we come back right after this. And we're back. We're back from break. So listen, I wanted to tell you guys, as we said before, we're going to be talking about a lot of things in this episode, but I'm laughing because I said some things to this man last week. I told you, Brian, I said, we're going to beat you guys. We're going to upset you guys in Dallas. We're going to jump right in. Let me have it.
Well, let me just say this, man. And I kind of figured, that me and you was going to talk about this first and foremost because I'm being a Dallas Cowboy fan and you being a New York Giant fan, that whatever the score was, me and you was going to have this conversation. Now, the game ended in my favor, 35-17. It's a big score. We basically doubled the score on you guys.
Yeah.
And let's just analyze the game. Everybody's hard on, everybody's on my side, everybody's been a little bit skeptical of our quarterback, Dak Prescott, because they don't consider him an elite quarterback like, say, of Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or, Matt Ryan. They put him on probably with somebody like Matt Stafford, or even, I wouldn't even say they even rate him ahead of Cam Newton. But this weekend, my quarterback for my Cowboys, he showed up and showed out.
Now, Brian, let me say this, okay? Because I got into some Facebook and social media arguments with different people on the topic of, were you guys that good or was our defense that bad? Okay? Now, you guys out there watching, I want to hear from you. And please, no Cowboy fanboyism. I got enough of that right here. I deal with enough of it on Facebook. But Brian, getting back to you.
Okay.
Tell me, is that a true test of how good the Dallas Cowboys offense was? And give it to me straight. Be honest.
Well, you got to remember the Dallas Cowboys changed over our offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore took over the offensive responsibilities because they had Scott Linehan last year. And they fired him. They brought in Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. And they brought in John Kitna as the quarterback coach. So they brought in two new coaches. Now, we already have an offensive coach as our head coach, which is Jason Garrett.
Okay.
I believe that with the new offensive coordinator, I think his philosophy is going to open up the playbook more for Dak Prescott than, say, when Scott Linehan was the coach, the offensive coordinator. Now, mind you, last year in 2018, we got Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Amari came in. That's how we got to the playoffs, pretty much. Once Amari came in, we started winning games, and Dak's accuracy was better. His stats were better. So I think getting him was a big upgrade.
How good is Amari though? I mean, is Amari, is he top 5? Is he?
No, he's not a top 5 receiver. But look at our receiving core as a whole. We got the boy Gallup, who is a second-year player. He had an extraordinary game. He had over 150 yards of receptions, caught a couple of long passes, and then we got that boy from Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers would love to have him right now. Randall Cobb. Now he's out receiving. They even brought back old man Witten back.
Old man Witten looked old too with that one pass he caught down in the red zone. He looked old. Got the end zone. Let me say this, all right. Let me. Everything that you're saying to me is good. I mean, everything you're saying to me sounds good.
Okay.
But I'll be the first one to tell you and tell those folks out there watching that the New York Giants is one of the most horrible looking defenses I've seen in Week 1 any season. Okay. For you to go into Dallas knowing that this is a division rival and let them run roughshod on you. I don't care that they're in their house. You let them run roughshod on you. For you to do that, to me, I mean, you had a huge paradox. You had the Cowboys offense that looked stellar, and the Giants. Let me back up. If you were to take that Chicago Bears defense and put them in a New York Giants uniform on Sunday afternoon, that would have been a very different football game, Brian.
Oh, I agree with that. You're right. I think that your team defense is as good, or one of the, not one of the top defenses in the NFL, but they're still professional athletes.
Not one of the top. That's an understatement.
But they're still professional athletes. They get paid millions of dollars to perform. Let's put it like this. Even if you don't have the best defensive players in the NFL, you still got professional defensive players out there.
How much of it was the scheme? Because you bring up a good point. I mean, you got players. I always tell people, you have coaches can give a group of players a great game plan, and the players can fail to execute, or you can have a great group of players with a terrible game plan and get the same result. Is the Giants one or the other? I mean,
well, I believe more than anything, I think your coaching might have let you down more than the players did.
So you feel like perhaps the scheme didn't help us at all when we were on the defensive side of the ball?
I mean, how can people be so wide open in the NFL game? I mean, this is not college football where you're Oklahoma against James Madison.
Right.
These are equally talented athletes. They all are the best of the best. So if a guy is wide open for a touchdown pass, then maybe the way the coach is scheming it, that maybe my coach is just better. That's why I said.
Okay.
Kellen Moore, John Kitna, and Jason Garrett had a game plan that was executed so good that it looked unstoppable.
I'm going to give you credit. I mean, it did look like they were in practice. I mean, they looked like they were practicing against the B team when Dallas had the ball. So I'm going to say this, and then we're going to jump off of this because
we still got to talk about the offense.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Because your offense, you got down. I'm gonna give you have the best running back in the NFL.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait, did you just say that the New York Giants have a better running back than the Dallas Cowboys?
Saquon Barkley is a better running back than Zeke Elliott.
Now stop right there. Folks,
for
those of you that are watching, for you Dallas Cowboy fans that are watching, this is why I respect this man. Everybody out here watching this, whether you're a Cowboys fan or not, you know that the average NFL fan out there hates the Cowboys fans worse than they hate the Dallas Cowboys, because you guys have an overinflated, or you guys tend to have an overinflated sense of what your team can do. This man right here is a true fan, and this is why I respect a lot of the Dallas. I don't dislike all the Cowboys fans. It's just the ones that get on Facebook and they it's quiet. We won. It's quiet.
Well, I would still do that anyway. I still can be the belligerent Cowboy fan. But back to my point about the reason why I say he's a better athlete. He's younger, and he's got that Barry Sanders factor about his running style. You know, I mean, that 59-yard run was. I mean, he would have run that 59-yard against any defense. The Chicago Bears, he could have gashed them.
Yeah,
that boy is going to have a phenomenal year, depending on how the coaching staff plays it. Think about it. He only had 12 carries, 11 carries in the game for 120 yards. One of them carried the ball, which the score kind of dictated the tempo of the game. But just say if the game was closer, some breaks had went your way. What if he carried it 25 times? He probably would rush for 200 yards in the game.
So let me ask you this question, because a lot of New York Giants fans have concerns about the man under center, the man that won us 2 Super Bowl championships, Eli Manning. A lot of fans are feeling like that perhaps, I mean, after what they saw of Daniel Jones in the preseason, that perhaps Daniel Jones is the man, and after what happened on Sunday afternoon, maybe perhaps it's time to relegate.
Make the move?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Now, I've been a Giants fan for a long time. I remember the quarterback controversy between Phil Simms and Jeff Hostetler. Now, Phil Simms wasn't playing as bad then when they benched him for Jeff Hostetler as perhaps. And Eli, look, I'm going to tell you something. I'm one of the biggest Eli supporters out there.
Going to the Hall of Fame.
Eli's a Hall of Famer. He won. He did something that nobody else out there can brag about. He beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. You cannot take that away from him. Peyton Manning could not knock Tom Brady out of the AFC Championship. He could not knock him out of the AFC playoffs. So you can say all you want about Peyton Manning, how great he was. His brother beat arguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history
In the championship game.
in the biggest stage,
The bowl.
not once but twice.
Twice.
So listen, I got a lot of love for Eli Manning, but from what I see, and he actually had a good game. He had a
did.
good
He
game.
played
It
good.
wasn't bad.
Didn't throw no interception.
Didn't throw any picks.
He
But
made a couple of bonehead runs.
Well, I mean, he can't run.
But that was on the coach.
That play down there. You're talking about that play down in the goal line in the red zone.
the goal line and
Yeah.
so the grounding
Yeah.
penalty too. As
Yeah,
well,
he had.
too.
I'm specifically, and to the point I'm making has to do with that bootleg when he did the play action. He rolled out. If he had gotten that ball out of his hand, he actually had a window to get that ball in to Sterling Shepard, but he did not get it to him. He
Well-
held the ball too long, and by the time he got the ball out of his hand, the defense was able to converge on him, and he ends up getting hit. Now Eli can't run. He's not fooling anybody.
No,
he's not fooling anybody.
37 years old.
Yeah. He's almost as bad as not quite as bad as Kerry Collins was. I mean, Kerry Collins looked like he was jogging when he was running full. His running full speed was the average person jogging.
That's
but
a blast from the past.
That's a blast from
Kerry
the past. He wore the Giant uniform. I got to throw it out there. But I think Daniel Jones in that same play gets that ball out of his hand quicker. I think my guy Deshaun Watson. Okay, I'm a Giants fan, but I rock with the Texans because they got my Clemson Tiger on there under center, Deshaun Watson, and we'll segue into that. But I feel like maybe you got to start asking yourself the question: Is Eli? Is it time? I mean, is it time to move him to the bench? Is it time maybe to trade him to a team that can actually use a championship level quarterback that perhaps has a better offensive line?
I believe that that he will eventually just retire as a Giant. I don't see any other team picking him up. Well, does he want to be a backup somewhere? Who can he start for?
No, he's got
maybe,
too much
who
pride.
wants to go to Miami?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
nobody
I
wants to play
wouldn't
for
send him there.
And that's the worst defense in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins, by the way.
I wouldn't send him there.
Terrible. They're really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, Matt, that Eli is probably at the end of his career. I think even regardless of what happens, he's still respected. And like I said, he's a Hall of Famer. Daniel Jones, they drafted the boy in the first round for a reason. He is going to be the replacement for Eli Manning.
Yeah.
I believe by the bye week, I think Daniel Jones will be starting unless you roll off 5 or 6 games in a row and it's 6-1 or 5-2. If you're like 1-5 or 1-6 or 2-5, then I think that's time to make a move.
You know, if we're at 2-5, I say, look, I'm not a fan of Gettleman, and look, I'm an amateur. You guys say if I were paid to do this right now, I'm running. This is Maddie's rap, okay? This is the ESPN,
Maddie's
so I say what I
rap.
want to say on here. This man can say he's free to say what he wants to
yeah.
say on here. All right, I'm not a fan of Gettleman. Shermer, I'm not a huge fan of.
They're yours.
I mean, we got him now. We got him. You know,
Just like I got Jerry Jones.
listen. You know, I
All right, well, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. Okay, all right. Touche.
You get our point.
Touche. Okay, you got Jerry. Okay, so I just feel like if the Giants don't turn, if we don't go at least 3-2 in the first 5 games, I would hope that we would go lose the rest of the games out and fire those guys because I'm not sure they have the vision. I said it. I don't care. I'm a fan. I'm free to say what I want.
He said it.
I'm not the only guy calling for this. All right, there's other New York Giants
fans of Maddie's rap.
Listen.
Remember what he said.
You can go and tap the average New Yorker on the corner, and on the shoulder, that is a New York Giants fan, and he'll tell you the same thing I just told him.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So now, let's segue really quick, because I want to get to that U.S. Open of tennis and talk about that. But before we do that, I got one more game I want to talk about,
Sure.
Brian. Was that Monday Night Football game the best game of Week 1?
Oh, yeah, it was the best game. The New Orleans Saints and the Houston Texans. I watched the game last night, and I'm going to tell you, Drew Brees, another Hall of Fame quarterback, and Deshaun Watson, who is an emerging star in the NFL.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was a great game. Came down to the wire,
Yeah.
field goal kick. I mean, it was an exciting game, and man, the NFL is on and popping, as they would say. I love it. I love this time of year. I love the NFL. I love college football. I love high school football. But I love some pro football.
Well,
I love my Cowboys first and foremost. I like the Panthers a little bit. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. I hate the Washington Redskins, and I hate the New York Giants. The reason why I don't hate the New York Giants as much because you wouldn't let me be on your show today.
I'm not that guy. He can tell me he hates their guts. I don't care. I'm not that. This is my man. We go way back. He's a fellow veteran.
Yeah.
He wore the uniform with me. We served together.
Yes, we did.
And he's also a medic. So we medics got a special bond of anybody in the U.S. Combat Arms. And medics have a special bond.
We
so
do have a special
this man can hate my team. I don't care. That's still gonna be my brother. But let me say this. And I got to do this. For those of you who watch me you watch Maddie's Rap, or you just watch my normal videos, or those who follow me at Matt D. Talford on Instagram, every now and then I'll throw in an impersonation. I did an Obama impersonation. If you saw my last video on Instagram,
I missed that one.
But since we're doing sports, I got to do this, and you know who I'm talking about. So my next question I'm going to ask you is going to be in this character.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, Skip, you said something, Skip. You said something last week, Skip, about Deshaun Watson, Skip. Now, Skip, you got to give it.
Nobody but Shannon.
Leave it in the comments. You know who it is. Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe.
Shannon, my boy. I love Undisputed. I watched that probably 3 times out of a week. I just like to see the reaction of Shannon and Skip. They kind of chop it up. I like Stephen A. and Matt Kellerman as well, but I really like Skip.
The thing I like about Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless is they're not arguing the whole time. I mean, Stephen A. is way up here, and then Max is, but they got their own thing. I'm not hating on him. Stephen that's his signature. If he's not arguing, they're probably going to call in the network and say, "Is Stephen sick?"
Yeah.
So it's like John McEnroe, which is my favorite tennis player, by the way. If he's not throwing a tantrum, they're like, "Hey, what's wrong with McEnroe?"
Right.
So anyway, getting back to it, I'm a little bit biased toward the Houston Texans because I'm a Clemson Tiger football fan, and Deshaun Watson is probably one of the most poised quarterbacks ever to play under center. I mean, the poise that you saw last night when they went down with less than a minute to play and they needed to go down there and get a score, the poise that you saw in his face on the sideline as he was considering what he needed to do is the same level of poise that you saw in him his freshman year in Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's got great, and the thing I love about it is there were some skeptics out there saying, you know what, I don't know. He got injured that first season. He looked like he was set to break all these rookie records, and then he gets injured in practice.
Hurt his knee.
Yeah, and then last year he's kind of off a little bit.
But he made the playoffs.
But what you saw last night is the Deshaun Watson. Now, he made a couple of read errors that are young rookie mistakes. The pick he threw late in the game, I think that might have ended up costing the Texans the game, to be honest with you, because that is what allowed the Saints to really go up, and then they had to fight back.
Right.
But he's going to work some of those read issues out, and I'm looking for Deshaun Watson to be one of the top quarterbacks of the NFL this year. So
he will be a good quarterback. He is he's going to be, I believe, one day, depending on what kind of team they put around him, he could be a Super Bowl champion one day.
Are the Texans, based on what you saw last night, good enough to win the AFC South?
It'd be true them in Tennessee Titans. That's the team everybody's sleeping on for some reason.
Yeah. Well, again, with Tennessee, here's a question. Were they that good, or were the Browns' defense that bad?
Well, yeah, but Cleveland had all that hype about this, that, or whatever, and they throttled them guys.
They did. And for all of those of you out there that were talking bad about, in fact, I can't remember which one of these guys it was. What is the show with gosh, there's so many sports shows out there, but there's one show where one guy was saying that he felt like Baker Mayfield was the class of the young quarterbacks in the NFL, and that Deshaun Watson had a lot to learn. Deshaun Watson looked a lot better than Baker Mayfield did to me yesterday, and I think he did it arguably against a better defense.
The best young quarterback in the NFL right now is Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, no question.
He's number one. Then I would probably put after Patrick. Then you have that group of probably. Then you're looking at that group of Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson. I put Baker Mayfield somewhere under those guys.
Yeah.
On as far as young quarterbacks, that's where I would rank
You
him
know
right
what?
now.
I'm just gonna say it. Karma is a mother. Now Baker did a lot of talking last year, and yeah, don't get me wrong.
He
Baker
backed it up in some games.
He backed it up. But my thing is, if the other coach is gone out, let that go. Don't jab the guy. The guy's gone. Don't karma. You got to understand that karma comes back around. Now you did all of that. Here now you got a clean slate. You got a fresh season, and your very first game you come out against the Tennessee Titans, and a lot of people picked the Browns to win that game big.
Oh yeah, big. And at home, they were at home.
Right. And you look just like the Browns of last year.
I mean,
maybe worse.
Yeah, you remember they rolled out the quarterback from Virginia Tech. He used to be their number 5. I forgot. That's what I'm saying. I don't even remember the kid's name, but he started before Baker Mayfield did.
Wow.
And so.
Oh, you're talking about Tyrod.
Tyrod Taylor, right?
Tyrod,
right.
Yeah.
He's an afterthought now, but. Heck, they could have rolled Tyrod out there. He would at least kept the game close.
Right. And that's my thing. Baker, if you had told me before that game, if you had said, Matt, bet me lunch that Baker Mayfield's going to throw 3 picks, I'd have taken that. I'd just be like, where are we going for lunch?
You were thinking he threw 3 touchdowns.
I'd have thought he'd thrown 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, not 1 touchdown and 3 picks.
OBJ was healthy.
Yeah.
Andrew was healthy.
Yeah.
Chubb was running in the backfield, and they had all their weapons there, and they only scored 13 points for the whole game.
Right. On this game, real quick before we get off of it, okay. Derrick Henry.
Good running back.
Derrick Henry. I got to say that, Alabama has this interesting phenomenon that goes on with them. They have a lot of these highly touted running backs that come out of school, and then they're average at best when they get in the pros. I think Derrick Henry is showing us something now. They're showing us what he always wanted to show. If he said, "You give me the opportunity to start."
Yeah, he's a good running back. The Alabama running back that looks good right now. The kid from Oakland. Josh Jackson.
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, he looked good last night.
He did look good last night.
He looked real good. And you still got Ingram. He's still doing good in the NFL. Mark Ingram still playing good and everything. I mean, he
landed in a good spot over there at Baltimore.
Absolutely.
He landed in a good spot.
So, I mean, there's some Alabama players. That's why they put more players in the NFL than anybody, because Coach Saban knows how to recruit them boys. I mean, he gets 5-star recruits, and normally if you go to Alabama, you're going to end up in the NFL.
That's right.
That's just the bottom line. Clemson is the emerging power in college football, but Alabama, they'll be right there at the end again this year. You trust me, they will be there.
Along those lines, tell me, do you see Alabama and Clemson playing in the championship game again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I might give Ohio State a sliver of a chance. But it's Clemson and Alabama and everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. That's
just me now. It could change, but that's just what I see.
Listen, I so desperately want to get off of football, but I got one more question.
Okay, one more. Yeah, we got to talk about topics.
Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson. This is why you don't count certain people out, man. They said last year this guy should move over to wide receiver. Lamar Jackson.
Dude is a phenomenal athlete. I mean, he was 17 out of 20. He only had 3 incompletions through 5 touchdowns. Think about that. And if he'd have just, I don't know what the 3 incompletions were, this dude could have went perfect. 20 for 20 and 5 touchdowns. That would have been the best statistical game in the history of NFL if you think about it. If you don't incomplete a pass during the whole game and throw 5 touchdowns. But nevertheless, the guy is great. Now, what he didn't do, believe it or not, he didn't run very much in the game. He didn't. He worked off his arm. I mean, everybody talks about his speed. I think he runs like a 4.3 40, so he's as fast as anybody in the NFL. But the fact that he was able to pass for 5 touchdowns, and then they mollywopped the Miami Dolphins, which, by the way, is on our schedule in 2 weeks. And I think they're on your schedule. That might be one you might get for sure.
The
Dolphins.
They look like sushi last night.
Oh my God!
I mean, not last night. Sunday.
We got them in 2 weeks.
They look like well, you got a sushi meal coming in 2 weeks, then, unless they can turn something around.
Yeah.
But so go ahead. Go ahead.
And one more thing. And one more thing that I feel like that this year, with the NFL the way it is, and I'm kind of wrapping up the NFL thing. Mm-hmm. We can get on to another topic. Is that you got the Patriots? They look unbeatable, and we're gonna talk a little bit about who they picked up. And you got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're gonna be good. You got my Cowboys look good yesterday. Some teams look good and they look Super Bowl, like they could be Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
But that was the first game of the season. Somebody who won 59-20, like Baltimore, by the end of the season could be 3-13. Who knows?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's certainly a high level to start week 1 off, and I'm only hoping it can go up from there. But good gosh, I mean, with that many games with those huge deltas in the score, what do you say? But you brought up somebody.
Go ahead.
The first 2 letters of the alphabet,
AB. And listen, that dude just cost himself $21 million. $21 million, y'all. $21 million. $21 million. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Now, of course, he goes to the Patriots. I'm a little bit upset that he gets to go to the team that won the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
But
what type of impact is he going to make with the New England Patriots? I mean, are they going to get the same Antonio Bryant that the Steelers had to deal with his last season there, and that the Raiders had to deal with all offseason and the beginning of this season, or is Bill Belichick the Phil Jackson of football, where he can get into your head and bring things out of you that other coaches cannot?
Well, now there have been players that have went to the Patriots who didn't work out. They were superstars in their own right. Think about this: Ocho Cinco went down there. He wasn't successful. Chad Johnson.
I barely remember that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I barely remember that.
Yeah, they've had players go to the Patriots that were supposedly, players they would thought would have been great players. I mean, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah.
They had players. Albert Hainsworth was playing for him. He didn't pan out. A couple other players went to the Patriots who they thought was going to improve the team, but didn't pan out. And then ultimately, Bill Belichick, he just cut him.
But with Antonio Bryant being such a lightning rod, I have to ask. I mean, which Antonio Bryant do you think we're going to get? I mean, is he going to chill the heck out and play football and help the Patriots get to it
like he did with Pittsburgh?
That's my point. I mean, if I had to hedge, if I had to bet and put all my chips on one side or the other, I personally think that he goes there, he immediately buys into what they're doing. He knows what type of system he's bringing in. Hey, look, the Patriots, I'm not a Patriots fan, and we beat you guys twice. We're 2-0 against you in the Super Bowl, by the way.
I don't want to see another Super Bowl victory in the Patriots.
And, to that point, I'm just going to say, listen, Tom Brady, I know he's arguably the greatest quarterback to ever throw the football.
He is.
But were it not for some boneheaded coaching calls, Pete Carroll and, was it Mike Shula?
Pete Carroll.
Was it Shula with the, who was that with the Falcons that year?
Pete Carroll, what do you mean when
okay, I'm going to give you the drive. Julio Jones gets him down to the 20.
Oh, yeah. My bad. You're talking about the coach from Atlanta, which would have been the guy from.
He's at the 49ers now, isn't he? Or no?
No. I know you're talking about, but he's the coach of Atlanta Falcons.
He was the coach of Atlanta.
And he had a chance to finish him off in the late in the third quarter.
Fourth quarter. No.
And
they're up 8. They got a first down, and you're down inside. You're in field goal range already. You run one time, get his stuff, and you drop Matt Ryan back and throw. Who does that? A kid playing Madden is going to run that ball 3 times, kick the field goal, go up 11 with less than 2 minutes left. That seals the fate of the Patriots.
Game
so that's one game they shouldn't have won. Okay, the other Super Bowl they shouldn't have won. Pete Carroll, you're down on the 1. You don't give the ball a beast mode. You throw it, you get it picked in the end zone.
So that's 2.
Why are you in the shotgun at the 1? I mean, so if you take those 2. Boneheaded coaching, and actually the Panthers should have beaten them in the Super Bowl a long time ago.
Yeah, but then your team don't have one Eli Manning.
I don't care. We did it. David Tyree, baby. David Tyree.
Second Super Bowl, y'all deserved that one, but that first one, I don't know. That could have went the other way.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, it's hard to call somebody the GOAT just because of their numbers, the number of Super Bowls that they won. When you got to. And you can call me a hater if you want. I don't care. I say yes. 2 of those Super Bowls have asterisks next to them. Now, if the Patriots go on and win the Super Bowl this year, I'll be the first one to come and roll out the carpet and say
they're the
greatest ever.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be the first one.
Be there.
And that actually they probably are the greatest team ever. Greatest franchise. Coach and quarterback tandem is now Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. You will not hear an argument. It's not Chuck Knox and Chubby Bradshaw. It's not.
Tom Landry and Roger Staubach.
No, it's not Bill Walsh and Joe Montana.
Nope.
It's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So I can't argue. You get no argument from me there. I give credit where credit's due. Brian, Before we wrap up here, I got to touch on that U.S. Open final, the men's final and the women's final. What's going on with Serena Williams?
Well, and you're the tennis expert.
Yeah.
I played a little tennis, but you're the tennis expert. The one thing that I noticed, and this is not got nothing to do with her game, but more so her psyche, it seems like to me that every time she goes to one of these finals in these major tennis events, whether it's the Australian Open, Wimbledon, the French, and now the U.S. Open, it's like she gets to the final game. You know, back in, believe it or not, back in the 60s, like it's a little sport trivia for everybody. You know, the Boston Celtics won 8 in a row, 8 NBA championships back in the 60s. For all you sports fans to know, did you know that they beat in the finals, they beat the Los Angeles Lakers 4 times?
4 times. Wow.
Yeah, that was quite a feat by the Boston Celtics. But back to Serena, she is the most accomplished tennis player, 23 majors, countless victories on the tennis court. And somehow here in the end of her career, she's struggling to win the final match or the final game to win the championship, but to get to that 24th major that will set her apart from everybody else.
Well, Brian, I think that you're onto something there. Let me just say this: it happens to all of the great. It has happened to all of the great champions of the past.
That's true.
You look at Pete Sampras. Pete Sampras was the most dominant, arguably. I mean, up until the advent of Roger Federer and the likes of Novak Djokovic and the most recent champion Nadal, people thought that, hey, Sampras, gosh, nobody's going to beat this guy. And Sampras hit that lull where he, after I think that 6th Wimbledon, he was like, you know what? He started playing these guys that have nothing to lose. And I think it happens to all of the great champions. When you've won so much, it's impossible to have that same hunger as a guy who doesn't have a championship. Or in Serena's case, a girl that doesn't have a championship. So I think Serena has a couple of factors she's going up against, but you bring up a great point. She has no problem winning 6 matches to get to the final. It's that 7th match that's playing in the back of her head. And I think that part of the problem is that the media, the media, you know, I watch these guys. I'm telling you, if I were an athlete, I'd probably get fined a lot because I would not talk to any. If you ask me a question, I would probably give them a Bobby Knight type answer. You know, a lot of people didn't like Bobby Knight, but Bobby Knight, he shot. He was a straight shooter.
Right.
I would probably give them a Bobby Knight answer and say, "Don't talk to me about any. I don't want to hear it. Talk to me after the match is over. If that's all you got, the interview's over. I walk off, or I give them to Russell Westbrook, where I'm just looking at him." Execution.
Yeah, but that's not Serena's style.
No, it's not her style. But at some point, you know, I think that the guys sometimes handle those pressure moments in the interviews better. And I don't mean for this to sound any certain way. I'm just calling it the way I've seen it over the past. These guys have no problem telling you what's on their head, and I think a lot of times they approach. Maybe the interviewing perhaps could be a little, I don't want to say sexist, but maybe it could be a little bit slanted because there's certain questions that they ask the female players that they don't ask the male players. And there's a certain type of pressure type situation they try to put on the female players. In Serena's case, she's one away from, and she kind of ran up on this a little bit before she broke Steffi Graf's record of 22. They did it when she was coming up to the tie. When she tied it at 22 and she went to break it at 23, it was that same pressure. Now here's Margaret Court looming in the background, 24. If you're Serena Williams, you got to sprint past that 24 because just tying it to me is not good enough.
Right.
I mean, tying it is not good enough. Oh, you're tied with the winningest one. First of all, you're the winningest female player in the Open era. You're the winningest female player in the Open era. Now, Margaret Court played before the Open era, so that's why she has 24. But I think that Serena needs to forget about Margaret Court and sprint past that. She needs to think, I need to win 25. Sometimes when you can set that goal past where that mark is, it's easier to push past it. Now, I saw an interesting phenomenon in this U.S. Open. Serena had 2 outfits. She had a purple outfit with the little skirt part around it, and she had the black catsuit. When Serena, a lot of guys feel that way. Listen, when Serena wears that catsuit and pulls her hair up in that bun, she looks like she's all business. I mean, she looks like, let me take my earrings off, let me put some Vaseline on my face and get out here and go out here and rough her up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she brought her level down a little bit, trying to wear the cute dress and everything, and it was cute. But listen, when you're in that final, you got to wear. Now, I go back to the catsuit and the dress because, interestingly, if you go back and look at the 6 matches she played before the final, the times that she wore the catsuit, she dominated.
Right.
The times where she wore the purple, she didn't drop a set in the catsuit. She dropped a set in the purple suit. So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm her, and here's where what's her name? Renee Stubbs. Here's where Renee Stubbs did something that sometimes some people consider slick. Renee Stubbs says, "So Serena, the cat suit, where are you? Blah 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 blah." I think that kind of put that little thing in her head to try to make Serena feel like, well, I can prove I can win without wearing this cat suit. I'm going to wear the purple. They play these little games sometimes, and I feel like Serena should have just gone out there with that black cat suit on and said, "I don't care what you said. It's the final. I don't drop it. I haven't dropped a set this whole tournament when I'm wearing this cat suit. Let me wear the cat suit." And now that takes nothing away from her opponent.
I was going to say her opponent was, and that's the thing we got to take into account too, Matt. And she's lost these finals in these major events. Her opponent has played extraordinary because they're beating a legend.
Right.
It's like back to the football thing. Think about your guy beating Tom Brady in 2 Super Bowls. Think about Nick Foles winning the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. When you beat a legend, that's special.
Right.
And I think knocking off Serena was this girl, and was that her first U.S. Open?
That was her first U.S. Open. I think that was her first U.S. Open.
Yeah,
I know it's definitely her first final, but I think it was her first U.S. Open. So
you could chalk that up to like one of the biggest upsets in tennis history.
Listen, Bianca Andreescu she's a phenomenal young lady. She's a phenomenal player. She's got a bright future ahead of her. But you have to ask the question. Naomi Osaka was in the same position last year, and look what happened to her this year. So is this one of those one-hit wonders where you get up so big to beat a champion, and then you don't show up the next?
That's what we're gonna find out.
And tennis is a funny game like that. The analysts are behind you until you lose that next match. I don't see Andreescu having a repeat like that run at the Australian Open because now people know what she can bring. They're gunning for her, and to me, that's what separates the great champions from these 1 or 2 slam wonders. The great champions, when they win that first slam, people are gunning for them. Serena has done it 23 times.
Well, Serena's got four shots next year to get that 1, possibly 2 to break the record. I could see her, if she probably gets trained up real well, I think she's got a good shot in the Australian Open and in the Wimbledon. I think those are those. I think Wimbledon and I think the Australian Open might be where she get those 2. I think the U.S. Open and French might.
I think she can win the French, but here's an interesting statistic. I gotta say this, okay, because this is the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
You're the tennis expert.
Okay, all right. So this one's on me. Statistically speaking, Serena has not won a major since she's gotten married. Should she have put that on hold? I don't know. I mean, I got to put it out there.
Yeah,
I got to put it out there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know about that, but I feel like Serena Williams. I don't think she's done winning majors. I think her problem's in her head. I think when she gets to that final, like you said, she can breeze through and win 6 matches. When she gets to that final, I think she's putting too much pressure on herself, and I feel like she needs to set a goal of about 27 slams in order to push past number 23. So, Serena, if you're watching this, you got to take your eyes off number 24 and set your eyes on 27, okay? If you set your eyes on 27, people are going to be like, what got into Serena Williams? While you still have it. You know, now the thing is, it starts to go through your mind, how many more times can I do this because I'm in my 30s now. I'm not 18, 19, 20 anymore. These young girls coming up, they're young enough to be my daughter.
Absolutely.
What can you find to motivate yourself? Because physically, Serena, you still got it. All right? So that is, I feel like next year, whether or not Serena wins 1 or 4 slams, to me, is up to her. It's not up to the field. I think it's up to her. I still think she's the best female player in the history of the game and the best female player in the field right now. You still cannot get me to bet against Serena Williams.
I wouldn't either. I mean, until you get to the finals, then I don't know.
You might want to hedge that bet. But last thing before we wrap up, Brian, so many people are arguing that Roger Federer is the greatest, the GOAT. They're calling him the GOAT of men's tennis. I am hesitant to call him the GOAT. Because that guy is right behind him now that just won number 19 on Sunday, Rafa Nadal. He's my favorite too.
Rafael Nadal is my favorite tennis player. modern tennis player.
Modern.
And everything.
Who's your favorite all-time player? Got to ask.
Believe it or not, I'm Arthur Ashe.
Arthur Ashe. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Good
For
answer.
the brother, man, trailblazer.
Good answer.
I mean, McEnroe and Jimmy Connors and Bjorn Borg and all those guys. And that's when I really was into tennis really strong at the time, back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, that was the age of tennis.
Yeah.
I think now's the age of has strong, but you only got three guys that are really good.
Yeah.
Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal. That's it. And everybody else, you sprinkle in.
They got some young guns,
here
but
and there,
those are the dominant
heavy
guys
hitters.
every time. Yeah.
So and of course in women's tennis is Williams, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and whoever beats her in the finals.
Right. right. But there's apparently no perennial power in women's tennis.
Right.
But I'll say this. I just feel like I agree with you. Rafael Nadal is my favorite modern player. He's number 3 all time for me. Number 1 is John McEnroe. Mm-hmm. He was one of my favorite 2 athletes growing up. I was a Muhammad Ali guy and John McEnroe. Those are my 2 top athletes when I was a little boy. After McEnroe, Agassi, just because of Agassi's just the way he played the game, I just loved it. And now, of course, the thing I like is fighters.
You like New Yorkers too.
I like New Yorkers too. They're
Agassi, both from New York.
Agassi's a Vegas guy. McEnroe's a New York guy, so I always tend to pull for New York guys. But I'm gonna say this: Rafael Nadal to me is going to tie Federer next year because I still don't see him, as long as he wants to play and as long as he's healthy. He's got so much fight, and he feels like Roland Garros belongs to him.
That's what I'm saying.
So he's going to tie Federer next year.
And this is why I still think I'm gonna go to another sport real quick. And we don't bring this up. That's why I believe Tiger can catch Jack Nicklaus. I believe because I'm a golfer.
That's a tall.
He
order.
can always go to that Masters and win that Masters, and I just think that's where Tiger Woods is going to get the rest of his majors off that Masters. I think in other tournaments, for you golf fans, I think Tiger might not even make the cut.
That's a
but
tall
you put
order.
him in Augusta, Georgia, where he knows that course. Watch out, Tiger's gonna. I put it like this: I bet my money he'll win it next year.
Well, with that, we're going to get ready to wrap up, folks.
Okay.
I'm going to say this on the way out, Brian. Rafael Nadal is the GOAT. I don't care that Federer has 20 and Rafa's got 19. Rafa's got a better head-to-head against Federer, and Rafa's done something that nobody has. I mean, who's won 11 French Opens?
Nobody.
He's
in a class by himself.
I think he'll have a dozen after this season.
Oh, yeah.
Next year in 2020, I think he'll pick up his 12th, and he may be 12 already. I don't know. Jeez, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Okay.
But let me say this. It's kind of hard to call a guy the GOAT when the guy right behind him, one slam behind him, owns him head-to-head.
Well,
so,
I mean, the GOAT don't have to be the one with the most championships.
It doesn't have to be the
he
one with the
can
most
just be the best player in his time.
That's right. That's right.
That's the way. That's why Muhammad Ali is considered the greatest.
That's right.
He might not have won more. I mean, Lennox Lewis finished and didn't lose a match.
Right. Marciano was 49-0, but nobody calls him the
everybody
GOAT.
says that Muhammad Ali is the greatest
fighter
of all
time.
And you'd have to agree, he probably was the greatest boxer of all time.
That is a great point that you bring up there, Brian. So, hey, think about that, tennis fans out there, when you're trying to consider who the GOAT is. To me, on the women's side, it's Serena, hands down. And pound for pound, I would call Serena the best tennis player ever.
Well, let's do that. Let's do a GOAT section, basketball, football. Let's do that.
We'll do that next time. But as you can see, with the sunlight raising up, we're running out of time here.
We are.
So really quick before I go, guys, I'm an author and I'm a businessman on the side. Listen, this is my top-selling T-shirt at www.talfordarts.com. This T-shirt commemorates 400 years of the African-American presence on the North American continent. Mm-hmm. So listen, if you're doing your 400-year celebrations anywhere, don't do it without wearing this shirt. This shirt, you're going to look great in it. If you don't believe me, check out my Instagram feed at Matt D. Talford or at Talford Arts. But you can get this shirt, oops, wrong side there, at www.talfordarts.com. They come in white and black, and they're for men and women. This is a unisex shirt. One word of caution to you: if you're used to buying or purchasing T-shirts that are a size bigger because you're looking for shrinkage, don't do it with this one. This one will not fit right if you go up a size. So whatever shirt you would normally wear, a polo shirt, whatever shirt size you normally wear in a polo, that's the size you want to get in this. This shirt has had this is an extra large for me. It has had 4 washes on it. The black has not faded, and the shirt has not shrunk. So keep that in mind. www.talfordarts.com. Brian, do you want to throw anything out there about your business before we leave?
Sure. I like your shirt. I got to get me one, of course.
Okay.
As well, 400 years, 1619 to 2019. Wow. God has brought us from a mighty long way.
Yes, He
Speaking
has.
of God, tune into my show, the Be More Faithful radio show with me and my wife Sarah on Sunday night on WPZS Praise 100.9. There on our show, we variety show. We have a thing called our topic of discussion where we talk about issues, and we have guests who come on and give us interviews. We have our song of inspiration. We put a sermonette clip on there, and we also have our artist showcase, which those are the individuals that we bring on our show. Their music who may not get their plays on the radio show or radio station, and we bring them on and let them be part of our show. Remember, we are on PZS Praise 100.9 at 10 o'clock on Sunday nights. If you want to listen to the last week's show, you go to our website, which is www.bmfradioshow.com. Again, thank you, Matthew, for allowing me to be a guest on your show. And we will do this again for sure. Talking sports, talking whatever, in Maddie's Rap.
For Maddie's Rap, I'm Brian. I'm Matt, and this is my special guest, Brian Moore.
Brian Moore.
It's a wrap. Peace.
Peace.